Yo, what's up, Scrubs? It's time for part 2 of the Structure Deck series. This time, the Zombie Madness Structure Deck. I'm just going crazy talking about it. So, jumping right into the card pool, we are seeing a lot of promising things, such as a playset of Pyramid Turtles, which is really the backbone of any zombie strategy for this era. It basically gives you access to Ryukoki, Vampire Lord, or even a Spirit Reaper, which provides a ton of offensive or defensive options depending on what the situation calls for. There's also a pair of creature swaps that make for some explosive plays when combined with Pyramid Turtle, giving you a large zombie from your deck while also taking one of your opponent's monsters, and that can just blow your opponents out of the water. There's a playset of Call the Mummy to turbo out 2 Ryukokis, to Despair from the Darks, and Vampire Lord, and you can still normal summon after using Call the Mummy, which allows you to build up a big board pretty quickly. Rounding out the zombie support, there are 2 copies of Book of Life, which easily recur the big zombies if they get destroyed, or if we get them into the graveyard through a discard effect. Moving on to the true starter deck, Brain Control is very good with 1 tribute monsters and will easily make the cut with our 3 in the main board. Fissure and Tribute to the Doomed give us good removal options and another discard outlet. There is also a Premature Burial, which we didn't get in the structure deck. And finally, Sakuretsu Armor and Dust Tornado are just really solid staples. The original structure deck has 7 tribute monsters, and 3 copies of Call the Mummy, which you don't want to see multiple copies of in a single game. So if you can't do the math on that, that is a one-way ticket to Brick City for a deck. So to give us more consistency, I recommend using your 3000 starting DP to buy Pharaonic Guardian packs and reset until you find 2 Spirit Reapers. Spirit Reaper is really good for the deck because not being able to be destroyed by battle means we'll have a monster left on our side of the field after the opponent's battle phase in order to tribute off into a big zombie on our turn. Spirit Reaper is also good in combination with Call the Mummy, allowing us to have a bigger monster to beat down their threat, and then have Spirit Reaper get in directly in order to discard a card out of their hand. Basically, Spirit Reaper is good whether you are behind and need to stall, or ahead and taking further control of the game. We will eventually also need a 3rd Book of Life, so resetting for 2 Spirit Reapers and a Book of Life would be truly optimal. But really there's a bunch of good things in this set like Danzalug, Metamorphosis, Book of Moon, and all the Gravekeepers, so depending on what you're looking to get into, you could settle for 1 Spirit Reaper and some other stuff. Once you get some good enough packs, it's time to build the day 1 deck. And I didn't get anything fancy in my packs with the 2 Spirit Reapers, so I have some weird options like Luster Dragon and Magician of Faith, but if you get a Danzalug or extra copies of Regenerating Mummy or Master Kionshi, you could replace them with that. Other than that, this deck is looking pretty clean and it's time to get the sleeves dirty. And in terms of gameplay, this deck does not disappoint. You constantly bring out big zombies that take over the board, and when your opponent finds a way to deal with them, you just Book of Life it back into play. Another thing that makes this deck really good is that the computer has no idea how to deal with Spirit Reaper. They aren't big-brained enough to use helpful equip spells on it just to get rid of it through its own effect, and monsters like Zaborg will only target the highest attack points monster on your side of the field, meaning Spirit Reaper flies under the radar of most targeting effects. The computer is also really bad at dealing with Vampire Lord. They'll use effects like Sakuretsu Armor and Ring of Destruction on it, even though it's not really going to do anything, and it puts them in a really bad situation. And of course, Spirit Reaper and Pyramid Turtle are just the MVPs of this deck. And also, I forgot to mention, both can be brought back with Book of Life if you need it on any occasion, and Spirit Reaper just provides such a great wall if you're getting bricked out, or if you just are fighting off the top of your deck and you need something to keep you going. After winning a few duels, You will have enough DP to start upgrading slots in your deck. I recommend getting 2 copies of Giant Rat from the Pastor's Machine because they're pretty cheap, and then buying a Curse of Vampire to give you more options to search with Pyramid Turtle. After that, I recommend getting a second Vampire Lord to cut out the second Despair from the Dark, then filling your deck with staples and starting with Injection Fairy Lily because you can find it through a Giant Rat. That will make the deck more consistent and add a few more powerful combos, and a fully optimized zombie list would look something like this. And besides being filled out with the staples, it also packs a copy of Crush Card and Deck Devastation Virus. We have 4 compatible monsters with Crush Card and 5 with Deck Devastation Virus, plus Pyramid Turtle can give us access to a monster for either one, depending on the situation, which makes using the cards a lot more consistent. So this pure zombie list can absolutely destroy campaign mode, but if you're looking to find a truly optimal zombie list, I recommend looking at some of the many top 8 appearances that Zombie Lord, Pyramid Turtle, and Spirit Reaper had during the true GOAT format days of 2005. They could be paired with defensive cards like Scapegoat, Bottomless Trap Hole, and include a few more light monsters to be able to support a Blackluster Soldier for a very controlling style of strategy. They were also seen in aggro decks that use things like Giant Rat, Air Knight Parshath, and a playset of both Book of Moon and Dust Tornado, which allow you to constantly interact with your opponent's board and close out games quickly. Or you might have even seen zombies alongside something like a Sacred Phoenix and a supporting Hand of Nephitis to provide consistent access to another reoccurring threat that can easily overwhelm your opponent if they don't have the exact cards needed to deal with it. There are plenty of options, and feel free to post any good list you come across or a list of your own if you're looking for some advice. So that pretty much wraps it up for the zombie deck, and if you liked it, please sub and hang out for part 3, which is the fire deck, to find out if it's a raging bonfire or a couple of twigs being rubbed together. Anyways, that's it from me. Take it easy and stay clean, scrubs.